doing like a pickup of resources and you're putting it into some form of container, right? Which is then is going to be, I don't know, maybe you're going to take it later on. So, okay. So what we have here is another automatic research bytes collection, right? So I have one set up prior and it was churning along, you know, everything was great. Then I went a little crazy on the research bytes, right? Right? I started unlocking a whole bunch of items, so which really began to drain my bytes, my research bytes, right? I guess you could say amounts. So I was dipping kind of low, so I said, okay, well, I need to find a way to top this up. Now, I could have gone out, manually grabbed some stuff, thrown them in the research chamber, have them basically collect up that way. But then I said, well, wait a minute, why don't I simply just create another automatic setup, right? So what we have here, as you can see, is, I guess you could say, the evolution of it. It didn't start this way. At first, I set this station up here with this auto arm, grabbing these ones, right? And I think these ones here scan for about, I think they're 22 bytes, and the green ones here scan at a lower, at a lower. I think there was 17. Anyway, I can't necessarily remember the exact amount, but these guys scan at a higher rate than the green ones. So I had set this up, but then I was realizing that, well, the refresh time was kind of long, right, to get a new one. So, and I was still just stuck at a lower rate. But then, you know, just sort of looking around, I noticed this setup over here. So what I originally had done was that I had the battery station there with solar panels, right? I have the wind turbines here. So what I had originally done, I had an auto arm right here, which was grabbing this and placing it on this platform. This research chamber was not here. So it was placing it on this platform. And then I had a second auto arm on this end, right? On this end of the large platform, which would then pick up the unit and place it in this research center right here, research chamber right there. So in essence, this research chamber was being fed from two different sources, right? So that was okay for a bit, but then I was like, well, then there was like a bottleneck that was happening, because then this platform here, the green one that had these green bytes, were like they're beginning to accumulate on the platform itself, right? So I had more on the platform that I actually had scanning, right? So that created a little bit of a bottleneck. So, which then brought me to this design, right? So I printed out another research chamber, placed it here, got rid of the other auto arm. So now, right, I've got this guy being fed from these units over here. And as you can tell, there's still a little bit of a bottleneck, right? And then I've got this guy over here being fed from these guys over here, right? So with the auto arm, right, if you're not familiar with it, it's the orange area. Let's get closer so we can take a better look and not fall down this crazy cavern that I was digging at previously. Okay, so as you can see, we've got blue, right? And then we've got the yellow, right? There, that's a better view. So we got blue and we got the yellow. The yellow, as you just saw, is the pickup area. And the blue is the drop-off area. So that's something to keep in mind. Also, if you can see in here, I've placed this little filter in here. If you place any item in this filter slot, right, like so, let's say if you have multiple different items around, it's a way of telling the auto arm only pick up the item that's placed in the filter slot. So it's not, you're not confusing different items, right? Especially if you're doing like a pickup of resources and you're putting it into some form of container, right? Which is then is going to be, I don't know, maybe you're going to take it later on. So, you know what I mean? You don't want, you know, I guess you could say different resources being messed up in the same storage unit. So it's just a filter to say that, you know what, simply pick up the item that you have in the filter slot, and that's it. Ignore all others, right? So yeah, like this is just like, I guess you could say a plan. Ooh, whoa! Did you see that? Did you see that? I wasn't paying attention. I wasn't paying attention. I was running out of air. I didn't even know. I was so focused on like describing like the setup. I was running out of air. Oh my god. Okay, yeah. What? Dude, okay. Let's do something to prevent that from happening. Oh, there we go. There we go. So now I've got a tether down here. So if I ever get distracted again, I'm not gonna suffocate this time, right? So okay. Woo, that was good. Wow, man. Okay, there we go. So in any case, this is just another idea, another design idea that you can have, right? Or at least that I simply came up with to get some auto research bytes generating. So it'll take away some time from me in terms of like, I don't have to go and gather these things manually on my own. It's automatic. It's like I set it and forget it, walk away, you know, and it's just going to basically keep going, right? So I myself have decided to basically throw in the solar panels because I was finding that even with the level 2 of the wind turbines here, not the level 1s, the level 2s, right? That, well, the batteries were being drained, right, from this setup a lot faster than they were being charged because I was only relying on the wind, right, to recharge them. So I said, well, you know what? Nah, let me see about grabbing some solar panels, and that's what these guys are, that type of thing. And it really helps charge up the batteries, right? So not only do I have the wind power, which as you can see, right, the turbines are flowing now because you can see the wind going by. Now I have wind and solar to keep these batteries charged, to keep this entire situation running, right? So running and powered. Now, if this was closer, I could maybe even run some extenders. You know what I mean? So get some like power line extensions, maybe run from this unit or from this unit and run it over. I might do that later. I don't know. But for now, as a standalone, isolated research generating setup, I think it's pretty cool. All right. I think it's pretty cool. So I would just wanted to share this with you because I know I have another video where I talk about, you know, my first one, and I went through that. You know, I'll probably have that, you know, displayed at somewhere along, you know, in this video. So I have that one set up, but then setting up this one and having the differences appear, like, you know, the two research chambers going simultaneously. I figured, well, you know what? Let me just share this with you, right? So you can actually see for yourself and maybe get some ideas on your own, right? About how you can set up your own automation for generating research bytes, so you don't have to manually go and you know acquire them or gather them yourself, right? So, you know, oh, and by the way, look, if you have any other ideas, you know, comment below, let me know of your particular setup, right? How you've got yours going along in terms of like generating research bytes, right? Either through this or some other, you know, some other, I guess you could say, natural source that you're scanning or whatever. So, you know, comment below, let me know. I'm curious. So, but all in all, that is it. I talked about the two research chambers. I talked about the power utilization, talked about, you know, how I'm charging it and why it got to this situation to begin with, you know, the evolution of this setup to having the second research chamber there. And given the fact that I believe that the green ones spawn faster than the I guess you could say these guys over here, the orange ones. So it's like a give and take, right? The green ones respawn faster, but these ones over here, right, they're worth more when they're scanned, right? So checks and balances, right? Checks and balances. So this guy is done and there's nothing in there. So what I could do, I could just simply grab this green one and place it over there. And look, the arm has replaced it already, right? So, oh, what happened? Oh, there you go. Boom. Automation, man. Really cool. And look. See, the batteries are being drained like crazy. So anyway, my next phase in this, to be honest with you, a little bit of a preview. I think I'm going to try to grab some lithium from one of the other planets, make larger batteries, maybe like a medium battery, that type of thing. And then to have this setup powered by medium batteries instead of multiple small ones. We'll see what that does, right? If it's more efficient or not, right? So next step, gonna grab some lithium, get some batteries. But I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it basically shed some light on some, I guess you could say, potentials of automating the research byte collection, right? Collecting. So yeah, there you go, man. There you go. So, well, until the next time, be good, be safe, and I'll see you in the future. Peace out.